Okay, welcome back to Screaming Creativity. My name is Rob Reilly from the WPP Corporation of Advertising Excellence and Media Excellence. My guest today is Michelle Morgan, who has 8+ years experience leading some of the best brands and creating work that is thrust brands into culture. Michelle, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Rob. This is awesome.
Your shirt is incredible. I don't know if we can get it. For the people only listening to the audio version, you've missed out on probably one of the best shirts I've seen. Where does that shirt come from?
It's actually an African designer. I bought it online. Her name is Andrea Maya. I love her stuff. Very colorful.
I was looking at some of your stuff, and you have this thing on your email that's like things that I'm rocking or things that I'm, what is it called? How does it go?
I call it Currently Michelle.
Currently Michelle, and I was fascinated by it. There's like some, you just got back from Japan, I believe, and you are talking about a face cream and then some other stuff and music you're into, which I was like, you know what? I learned a lot about Michelle within one email.
Yeah, I kind of started it because everyone was remote, and I was realizing that people were just having meetings to talk about business and not anything else. So I just started putting it in my signature because I wanted people to get to know me and maybe share a little bit about themselves.
So I'm trying to think when we met. How did we meet? We were in an elevator. Is it one of those things?
We met over coffee. We were both standing in the coffee line or something.
Oh. And then you told me what you worked on, and you work on Dove, and we'll get into that. What's your story? What's your background? Because this is about inspiring also other young people, that are out there, and that hopefully they'll see this as a business for them, and they get inspired to be part of it. And listening to people like you tell their story of like, how did you find your way into this business?
I kind of had a very winding road with this business.
The long and winding road. We'll get that approved by the Beatles.
Surprisingly, there's no major in media. I work in media strategy, and I actually majored in college doing pre-med and journalism. So my
There's a lot of smart people on this podcast. I'm not one of them. No. Pre-med.
My mom is a doctor, and I was like, well, why don't I follow in her footsteps? I was good at science. I was really interested in science, but it wasn't my passion to do for the rest of my life. I learned that junior year of college.
Where was school, if you don't mind me asking?
University of Iowa. Oh. I'm from the Midwest.
Oh, wow. Hawkeye, right?
Hawkeyes, yes.
Yeah.
Go Hawks.
Yeah, go Hawks.
So I graduated college, and I was doing, assisting medical researchers at University of Iowa in the hospital. But I was also flying to New York, doing internships for magazines and fashion. My goal was to get to New York to work in fashion magazines. So I worked at a lot of different places and ended up at W Magazine. And that was my first job in New York, my first year, making $9 an hour.
Wow. Wow, $9 an hour.
Yeah.
Seems insane. Yeah, I bet it was tough.
But it was an incredible experience.
So you're in the fashion world, W Magazine, we all know. Large format magazine at the time.
Huge.
I'm not still around. And you're inspired by, obviously, you've got great style yourself, but so you weren't inspired enough to continue down the path of fashion.
I think I was looking for something more. I loved fashion. I still love to shop. But I wanted something that I could be creative, but also analytical. So that's why I started looking at marketing and kind of fell into the agency world. I just found a posting online. I would think it was like Indeed.com. And it was an assistant job at another agency, and I just put my resume out there. I interviewed well, I guess, but I had no idea what they actually did in media, and I said I would figure it out later.
Wow. So it was a media agency. So that's
it was a media agency where I got my first
So it wasn't
position.
like you were a young kid and looked at some piece of advertising or piece of thing that inspired you. Someday I'm going to be in the advertising media business. You just sort of fell your way out of fashion and into media.
Yeah.
Lucky for us. But was it an instant like, oh my God, I love this thing? And so for young people out there that are contemplating the business of advertising and media, it's like, were you immediately hooked? I mean, obviously you've been doing it 8+ years, but were you immediately hooked at it, or was it a rough go?
I think that I was really interested. I was so attuned to learn something new. I'm a curious person by nature, so getting a new challenge was exciting to me. And I love that it was fast-paced. You learned about all the social media platforms that I was using on my own phone. And it was really cool to do the events. There's a lot of fun things that happen in the industry that is connected to pop culture, and like you're at the fast pace of technology, at the forefront of technology. Yeah. So I loved it.
The podcast is called Screaming Creativity, and I really wanted to have you on this because, one, I'm a huge fan of yours, and we've gotten to know each other a little bit, and I think you're, not a rising star. You're a star here for sure.
Thank you.
But we all can continue to rise as much as possible. Talk about creativity in your job. Because people might say, well, media, there's not much creativity, or we do different kinds of things. But I think there's I believe there's a lot of creativity that goes into media, but it's not necessarily the same creativity that someone like Noel might be doing from Ogilvy, where he's sitting down with a brief and coming up with a creative idea. Like, how do you see creativity, in your world?
I think there's a plethora of it.
Plethora, I like that. Yes, a plethora of creativity.
A plethora of creativity. I think that media gets a bad rap of being the numbers person or like kind of the nerdy kid on the block, compared to like an Ogilvy or a huge creative entity. But there's just as much creativity on this side too, and I think that there's a lot of room to work together.
So tell us a little bit. So what do you think that your role is?
My role is truly to bring out the best stories from the brands. And find the best place for people to be engaged and to see it. So some of the work that I've done is, yes, I do a lot of Excels and doing billboards and standard placements on TV, but I've also co-produced with Nina Simone's estate her first music video for Feeling Good.
Tell us about that. And we're going to get to your amazing work that you do on Dove, but tell us about Nina Simone. I mean, amazing artist. So
yes.
Is this a side project?
It was a
side hustle?
It was
what is
through
this?
Dove at Mindshare at WPP.
Okay.
And
I knew it was done. I didn't know we were that deep into it. So tell us.
So Dove has a campaign called the Crown Act, and it's about celebrating Black beauty, particularly Black hair, and wearing natural hair. So a lot of women are discriminated against in the workplace and school environment for wearing their natural hair. And so we wanted to find cultural moments where we could tie that message together, but also just celebrate the beauty of these beautiful Black women. So Nina Simone's estate was searching for a brand that they could collaborate with to make her first music video with the most iconic songs that she's probably ever written ever sung. And we work with them to not only fund the music video, but also influence some of the direction, figure out the casting, making sure that it was showing a multi-generational story from a daughter, a mom, and a granddaughter. And being able to remotely, because it was during COVID, be on set and see the ways of working and understand like the story that the director wanted to tell alongside the family was a dream.
Yeah. And you work a lot on Dove, obviously. I mean, I don't know if it was your whole 8 years you've been working on Dove.
It's been a big bulk of my career, yes, but always a lot of fun.
The work is so inspiring, and if you haven't seen any of the work that Ogilvy's done with Mindshare or Mindshare's done with Ogilvy, the collaboration is probably one of the best we have, and it's led to some of the biggest ideas being seen by so many people and impacting so many people.
Yeah.
It might be easy to say I can work on a brand like Dove because it stands for such great things. What's the advice you have for people that aren't working on, say, a Dove? And, how do you get up for the things that maybe not as makes you feel the way, Dove obviously makes you feel?
Definitely. And I've worked on brands that maybe I don't have a passion for. I've worked on a pizza brand, which I love pizza.
You don't
but
love
not every
pizza?
day.
Who doesn't love pizza?
I
Michelle,
love pizza.
I'm confused by your...
I don't know if it gets me up in the morning or I've worked on banking. So, I'm lucky enough.
Banking gets me up in the morning. I love FDICs.
Yeah, right? It's riveting stuff. But I'm lucky enough to work on Dove right now and have such a connection to the purpose. But when it comes to other brands that you can work on, I think about how to just be creative in media or how to be creative on different channels or platforms that you love to use yourself. I think that one example is Heinz ketchup. I love ketchup, but Heinz did a really creative campaign where they said, if you're at a restaurant and they don't happen to have Heinz on the table, I want you to tip your restaurant up to $20, send a picture to TikTok with this hashtag, and we'll pay for the tip. And also negotiate with the restaurant to get their product on the table.
Genius.
So, yes, it doesn't have to be like this...
Something that's connected to you purposely.
such a purposeful brand, but a lot of these brands stand for something, and it's something that people use every day.
Yeah.
So how do you best communicate that and make it fun?
So you and I have talked offline about collaborating with the creative agencies.
Yes.
And how...
That's actively being done right now. I sent an email yesterday.
Oh, well, there you go. So tell us, like, where do you feel like your role is and your responsibility to figure out how do you partner well with... Because when we get the creative and media agencies working together and we get that combination of ideas plus how the story is told and where it's still told, you see the results that Dove has done. So one, how do you do it? What's your advice to young people out there who are getting into it? Like, hey, partner with the creative agent. How do you do it? And then two, what's your favorite campaign? You talked about the Crown Act campaign you've worked on, but like, is there anything else you've worked on for Dove that you would put it, on a pedestal?
Yes. I love working with Ogilvy. I think it starts with building a relationship with your counterpart. I think there's sometimes between different agencies, there's this like reservation. I don't know how this person's going to be. But once you build that relationship and it's just, I want to do good work, let's like make the client happy, let's just tell a good story, then everything else in terms of politics goes out the window. And I think it's really fun to start thinking about not how do we put this 30-second on TV, but how do we think about something that is connected to different channels that can tell different cuts of that story or different scenes using the Ogilvy's thought process and their creative juice.
Yeah, creative juice. I like that. Yeah. They're going to like you saying Ogilvy's creative juice. I think it's a great, great phrase. Now, what are you most proud of that maybe has nothing to do with WPP or Mindshare or advertising in general? This is called Screaming Creativity. It's not just advertising. It's your life.
I think throughout my career, the biggest challenge that I've learned, I'm still learning, is how to manage people. And it's something that I take so much pride and joy in. I don't just see the people that I work with as employees at Mindshare or WPP, but truly human beings that I want to learn their passions and learn how I can nurture them. So my biggest accomplishment is mentorship here. And I've come across people from different backgrounds that loved movies. So I made sure, like, let's figure out, like, the cinema activation that we can do, and I'm going to put you on that project. But I think just learning about people and building relationships with the people that work with me has been probably the proudest thing that I've done.
Well, I knew you would have an incredible answer to my pedestrian question, so thank you for saving me from... That's such a great way to look at, our jobs, too, is the mentorship and how do we help teach people and bring people along, learn about their passions. You got to put the work into it, which obviously you do. And we've talked so much about data. It's like ad nauseum, but like, you're really passionate about fusing data and storytelling, and that doesn't get talked about a lot. Data gets talked about a lot, storytelling gets talked about a lot, but like the power of data in telling your story, I think is game changer. So you're passionate about that. Talk about it a bit.
Sure. Pretty open-ended.
Yeah. Listen, you can talk about it. Listen, I love you critiquing my questions already. It's pretty open-ended. It's fine. It's cool. Sure. Yeah.
No,
I'm trying to give you a softball here.
Open-ended questions are always good. So
I feel like this is her podcast now. No. It's Michelle's podcast. It's called Embarrassing Rob.
Well, you give me a mic. I tell you, I have phone calls with my girlfriends for 2 hours. So I can keep talking.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
So in terms of creativity and data, I think they're definitely infused. I don't ever want to get locked into data and looking at a number and saying we're doing X, Y, Z. Instead, look at data for insights, for things that you may not see as connected, but actually are. I think it's always impressive to see the data in terms of algorithms on social media. TikTok, for example, everyone has a very different For You page. I can be best friends or sitting next to somebody that has a completely different algorithm based on data than I do and have a different subculture and content that they're viewing, which is really interesting. And how do you talk to women 25 to 54 but have completely different interests? And how do you engage with both of them with one story? Yeah.
Well, Turn Your Back is an amazing Dove campaign. If you haven't seen it, from Mindshare and Ogilvy, won the Media Grand Prix. So, obviously, huge accomplishment for you guys. But, why is that personally so important to you, having worked on the brand, but also the message it sends?
Yeah, I think that was very much a collaborative effort between the different agencies as well as globally. So it's really awesome to see it be recognized on a grand scale.
Yeah.
I think it's important to continue to provide, to give the brand a platform. And the brand has this important platform to speak on a lot of the beauty standards that are kind of skewed.
Yeah.
That the girls, young girls don't really recognize that are happening to them, that they're just putting on a filter to be fun or like to have a different look, but it might be skewing their self-esteem on the long run. So it's important to have a commentary or a stance on that.
And that campaign was done within, I think, 24 or 48 hours, and the collaboration between Ogilvy and Mindshare was the reason it got done so quickly, and having a great client on the other side. But
yeah, you could just pick up the phone.
The relationship between the platforms, whether it's TikTok and, say, a Dove and media, like, it's not always the easiest one, right? I mean, we're talking about some of the things, the influences of these platforms. Like, how do you navigate that?
It's interesting, right? Like, because we're an agency that not only has to maintain a client relationship, but also a partner relationship, you have to figure out a middle road. And sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes we choose to forego a route or a partner because of a greater good.
Yeah.
Or because their purpose or goals right now don't align with the brand.
Yeah.
So that's always interesting. I'm still learning how to speak to different people and make sure every stakeholder is happy or at least satisfied. But
you guys have tough jobs.
Yeah, it's a tough job. But
unsung heroes, I think our media folks. You guys have done such an amazing job.
Thank you.
So tell us more about you. I know you travel. I mean, I've watched you travel. You travel by yourself sometimes, and you go. I'm always like, I feel like I'm your older brother. Please be safe. Don't take the train.
I've been to some pretty awesome places, but solo traveling is something that I started maybe when I was 25, and I've tried to take a trip every year. So my first trip was Istanbul in Turkey.
Yeah.
I told my parents 2 weeks before I left that I was going.
How'd that go over?
They were shocked.
Yeah, I bet, yeah.
And they were worried, but I made it back okay. You got to go to Istanbul. It's amazing.
So do you get creative inspiration when you go to these places? What's the reason you go and you like to travel by yourself?
I think for me, it's like one of the few places where I can have true freedom and truly be myself, and I don't have to compromise on different choices. So for me, it's like very much a recharge.
Yeah.
But in terms of creativity and inspiration, it's amazing. I just came back from Japan, and it's a completely different culture. Like, did you know that they have a Chicano culture in Japan?
I did not know that.
I saw a lowrider in the middle of Tokyo. Blasting music, and I was like, what
was the music they were blasting?
It was Chicano music. It was awesome. Like, I think that it's so inspirational in terms of like the subcultures there and the way that people identify and self-identify, and they adapt different cultures. They have rockabilly culture and like rap and all these different things that they are so passionate about.
Yeah, Japan's an amazing place. It's an amazing place for creativity.
It's great.
Yeah, we're going to go into the rapid fire. This is the, we end all these, and it's actually turned out, these questions are written by the great Jonathan Sanchez and delivered by the very average Rob Reilly. So books or movies?
Movies.
Movies.
Love movies.
Okay, what's your favorite movie of all time?
Under the Tuscan Sun.
Under the Tuscan Sun.
I'm a big romantic comedy girl.
That's cool. No, that's fine. That's a deep cut. We're going to find that on a Blockbuster DVD.
Yeah.
Talking or texting?
Talking.
Talking. All right. Are you a night owl or you're a morning person? So I think they always credit people get pigeoned as night owls, and maybe meaty people get pigeoned as morning people because you've got to be up early and look at the data. No.
I'm actually a night owl. I've had a lot of second jobs throughout my life. So I've become.
Oh, you have a second job now?
No. I haven't had a second job in ages, but like
DJ. You're a DJ.
I've had a lot of night owl jobs. So
besides Chicano music or rockabilly, what's the last song you listened to?
Kim Petras, Clarity. I love Kim Petras.
Wow. Okay, I like that. Deep cut again. Hidden or secret talent?
I don't know.
Can you juggle?
God, I wish.
Yeah, I wish I could juggle too. But you probably juggling seems like something attainable. Just takes a little practice.
Yeah, just practice.
You have no secret talents.
When you put it that way, I feel bad. No,
don't feel bad.
I can't even think.
Well, what's something people don't know about you that would be surprising then?
Well, I haven't told a lot of people this, but I used to be a French carny on Governor's Island.
I'm sorry, what?
A French carny.
Like a carny? Like a
one come all, like come try our carousel.
Wow,
I would
you were
dress
like
up
a carny.
Yeah, a carny.
Wow.
A barker.
And you were a barker. Do you have photos of that? We'll have to put that, because we
pull
can
up
put
on
this in the
Facebook.
videos. We can add a photo of that if we get the approval from SAG. Okay, that's amazing. See, that's not a secret talent,
I've had
but that's probably a secret talent. Hey, welcome. It's not easy to do.
It was fun.
Yeah. Your favorite season?
I love summer.
Summer. Why?
love
No
the
one said they
beach.
love summer. Why do you love summer?
Really,
People say fall mostly because of the clothes.
the clothes, but I just love being by the water. So I love the beach. I love just everyone's outside. There's something electric about summer in New York. Everyone is happy.
The governor and mayor of New York will thank you. If you could hang out with one fictional character, who would it be?
Gosh, these questions.
Well, Jonathan is a deep man. I'm going to keep blaming you, Jonathan.
Jonathan, I gotta think. Michael Scott.
Michael Scott from The Office.
Yeah, I think he'd be fun.
You know, I feel, Michelle, you're so sophisticated and cool, and then also so normal, and just like everything, like Under the Tuscan Sun, The Office. I mean, Michael Scott is hilarious.
I'm from the Midwest. I'm pretty lowbrow. I'm
Why
pretty
Michael
low-grounded.
Scott? What about Michael Scott? You think he'd be a good boss? Would you like to work for him or just be friends with him?
I think I would like to work alongside him, maybe not right under him, but I think that he had a lot of heart, and he truly meant well. He really did meant. His intentions were good.
Yes, I
Always.
like that. So it's a good thing to have. 3 items on your bucket list.
Antarctica. I need to check all 7 continents.
Got it.
I'm halfway through.
Got it.
I want to learn how to cook something really good. I don't cook a lot, so I want to have like this is Michelle's mac and cheese, or this is Michelle's famous chili.
Yeah.
Like, learn how to cook something and own it.
Okay.
And figure out a side hobby that's just a passion project, like, gathering people some way.
Juggling.
Juggling,
yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, maybe. That could be
I'll put a show on the road or something, juggling.
That's a good, figuring out a side passion. I think that's a good,
Yeah.
I agree. I
Something
would like
outside
that.
of work.
If you're in a karaoke bar and someone asks you to sing a song, what's your go-to song? Not your favorite song, but you know that you can nail.
Corn on Blonde.
Wow. Hey!
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty good. That's good. It's on key, too. If you had one app for the rest of your life, what would it be? TikTok. Yeah.
I learned so much on TikTok.
Yeah, I agree, too.
It's my favorite.
I learned a lot of cooking. I saw this corn fritter thing this morning around 5 a.m. Because you shave the corn, and I was like, I've got it in my fridge. Now, what do I do with it? But I'm going to make corn fritters out of it, yeah. So
Nice,
anyway.
that sounds delicious.
Last question. What's the one piece of advice you'd give your teenage self?
Continue to bet on yourself.
Well, we're betting on you. You're awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thank
It's
you.
Michelle Morgan, everybody. Screaming Creativity is produced by WPP and Hogarth, edited by Rob C. Ward at BCW, and supported by our partners at Spotify.